Francesco Bagnaia's weekend started with real hope and ended with a hard dose of reality about how his 2025 MotoGP season is going. After finally securing his first pole position of the year at Brno, Pecco looked like he might be on the verge of a breakthrough. The two-time world champion had spent the entire season trying to get the unpredictable Ducati GP25 under control, and that Saturday lap gave fans a glimpse of the Pecco they remembered, confident, composed and fast. But as the weekend unfolded, so did any belief that he's still in the title hunt. Pecco didn't just miss the podium in both the sprint and the main race, he walked away from Brno with more than just lost points. What he carried home was a heavy dose of reality. For the first time, he openly admitted it. "We must be realists," he said, after coming in fourth on Sunday. "It's hard to think about fighting with Mark in these conditions." That wasn't just Pecco being humble. It was a clear, public acknowledgement that his championship hopes for 2025 are fading fast, and the issues he's been battling since round one, he's starting to believe they might not be fixable at all. To really grasp how big that statement was, you have to go back to Saturday. Nobody expected him to take pole, not even him, but with a flawless lap and the yellow flag freezing the timesheets, Pecco shot to the grid and beat out Marc Marquez for his first pole of the season. It looked like a possible turning point. Instead, it quickly turned into more of the same frustrations. During the sprint race, a software glitch gave Pecco a false warning about low front tyre pressure. Worried about getting penalised, he eased off the pace, only to learn later that the alert wasn't real. That hesitation dropped him down to 7th. Then, in the main race, after grabbing the whole shot into turn 1, he was overtaken within 3 laps by Marco Bezzecchi, Marc Marquez and Pedro Acosta. From that point on, Pecco kept pushing. He even closed the gap to Acosta late in the race, but the charge came too late. He ended up 4th off the podium again. It wasn't just a rough outing, it pointed to something deeper. In the first part of the race, I was struggling quite a lot with my feeling on braking on entry, Pecco told MotoGP.com, but then he realised that dialing back the traction control actually helped a bit, so he started reducing it, one step, then another, and by the end of the race, he was finally feeling more competitive. That kind of adjustment, made mid-race, showed guts. Manually tweaking the electronics to make up for mechanical issues isn't something you see often, and when a rider like Pecco starts turning off the safety systems just to get comfortable, it really says something. Pecco's frustration isn't new, but it's definitely getting louder. He's been open for months about how the GP25 has made him lose confidence under braking. And Brno, where strong downhill braking is key, just highlighted the issue again. This time, he didn't hold back. "I've always been strongest on the brakes, very hard to overtake me there. When someone tried, they'd usually go wide," he said. "Now I'm the worst. Everyone passes me." That's a shocking turn for a rider who built his success and 2 championships on late braking and confident trail entries. What used to be his strength is now his weak spot. Technically, the Ducati GP25 still has the braking performance, but for Pecco, the feel just isn't there. The rear of the bike isn't rotating the way he needs it to, and the confidence to slide it in on corner entry has disappeared. After testing the larger 355mm brake discs back in Aragon, Pecco has gone back to using the smaller ones, but this time with a new brake pump to mimic the larger disc feel. While it's helped with the lever response a bit, the core issues are still there. "It's still very tough," he said. "There's a lot of movement, a lot of locking, and it's hard to brake the way I want to." Last season, he was known for braking late and aggressively. This year, everything has to be controlled and straight. The rear end isn't doing its part to help slow the bike down. Worse yet, he's starting to lose hope that Ducati can solve the problem. "I don't think we will improve it," Pecco admitted. "Maybe in the test at the end of the year we'll understand a bit more, but for now we won't improve. Maybe we can just adapt." That's not just a technical problem, it's mental too. The more Pecco doubts the bike, the more he questions if he can even win with it. And to make things harder, his teammate is making it all look easy. Marc Marquez just walked away from Brno with his 5th consecutive Grand Prix and sprint double. He's now leading the championship by a massive 120 points over his brother Alex and by 168 over Pecco. And this dominance isn't coming from a superior machine. Ducati Corsa general manager Gigi Dall'Igna admitted after the race that their early advantage this season has faded. The others have really raised their heads, Gigi said. It feels like a moment to get back to work, not think about vacation. He pointed out that teams like KTM and Aprilia have made huge progress, partly thanks to development concessions that Ducati no longer has. He also acknowledged Ducati took a conservative approach to upgrades in 2025, which was somewhat expected as the grid began to balance out mid-season. But even with all that in play, one Ducati rider is still getting results: Marc Marquez. Only Marc was able to make a difference with our bike, Pecco admitted. I don't know why it was so difficult to ride the GP25 here, and only he managed to stand out, especially in the left-hand corners. I tried to make the difference in the right ones, but I couldn't. That's a tough pill to swallow for any factory rider, especially one who's supposed to be leading the team. Right now, Pecco's not just trailing Marc in the standings, he's behind him in confidence, in adaptability and in outright speed. Even with the points gap and all the technical headaches, Gigi Dall'Igna still stood by Pecco. He was unlucky because of us, Gigi said, referring to the false tyre pressure alert that hit during the sprint. A great sprint yesterday and a great race today. This was probably his best weekend so far. It might sound generous given the final result, but there's some truth in that take. Pecco was the only Ducati rider besides Marc to even crack the top 10 in the main race. He set the 3rd fastest lap of the Grand Prix and kept fighting all the way to the end. According to Gigi, he only had 3 or 4 laps in the first part of the race where the pace dropped, but then he brought it back. That's a clear sign he's improving. It's a bit of a mixed message. There's the encouragement about Pecco's progress, but also a clear signal that Ducati as a whole needs to step it up. So far, it's been a very positive season, but the advantage we had has slowly faded, Gigi admitted. Now's the time to start finding better answers than what we've got. He also cleared up the confusion around the sprint issue, explaining it was a software initialization problem that triggered a dashboard error. Basically, a malfunction in an anti-panic system. It was a one-off, but it added another frustrating chapter to Pecco's season. And the guy who kept him off the podium at Brno, Pedro Acosta. The rookie's rise has been steady all season, but Brno felt like a turning point. He finished 2nd in the sprint, 3rd in the Grand Prix, and made it clear he's no longer just a promising talent. He's a threat. Even Acosta acknowledged how close Pecco came in the final laps. I was giving it 100%. When I saw Pecco closing in at 0.6 seconds, I started pushing again and gave everything I had, he said. If I couldn't hold him off, I wanted to be sure I gave it my all. That was a key moment. Pecco was finally going on the attack, but Acosta dug deep and held firm, something Pecco might have done himself just a year ago. Pedro Acosta is now up to 7th in the championship standings, sitting just behind the VR46 duo, and he's quietly turning into a serious contender for the top 5. While his KTM still struggles when riding in dirty air behind other bikes, his raw pace and smart decision-making late in races continue to stand out. On the other hand, Pecco is starting to look over his shoulder in the rankings. His new benchmark isn't Marc Marquez anymore, it's Alex Marquez. We need to reset and focus on doing our best with Alex as the reference point, Pecco said after Brno. Clearly, our approach to the season has changed after so many races. That's just how it is now. He's no longer chasing the title, he's trying to stay in the fight for 2nd. At the halfway mark of the 2025 season, Pecco Bagnaia is 3rd in the standings. He's got 1 win, 1 pole position and a stretch of solid but unremarkable results. But those numbers don't really capture what's happening. This is a rider and a champion caught in a full-blown crisis, technically, mentally and competitively. If I had to rate my season so far, I'd give it a 6 out of 10, he said. And if I include last year, maybe a 5. Now compare that to Marc Marquez, who's averaging 31.75 points per round. Pecco, just 17.75. The gap is massive. And with Austria up next, a track where Pecco's historically performed well, you'd expect confidence. But even he sounds uncertain. Austria's the next race, and I've usually been able to make a difference there, he said. We'll see what happens. But it's not just Austria that's in question, it's the entire second half of 2025 and maybe more. Can Ducati adjust the GP25 to suit Pecco again? Can he regain that braking magic that once made him nearly impossible to pass? Or has the character of this bike simply drifted too far from what he needs? Right now, Pecco Bagnaia has never looked more vulnerable, and with Marc Marquez looking more unstoppable by the race, that's a scary reality for anyone still holding on to hopes of a title challenge. Toprak Razgatlioglu is officially making the jump to MotoGP after years of rumours, 2 World SBK titles and countless jaw-dropping saves that defied the laws of physics. The Turkish sensation is set to join the MotoGP grid in 2026 with the newly rebranded Pramac Yamaha team. But there's more to this move than just headlines. It's a story of transition, uncertainty and unwavering belief, both from within the paddock and those watching from the outside. At 28, Toprak has already cemented his place in World SBK history. His fearless late braking and almost acrobatic control on the bike have made him one of the most exciting and unconventional riders outside of MotoGP. Still, making the switch from production-based superbikes to MotoGP prototypes has always seemed like a long shot. The gap isn't just about performance, it's a whole different world. MotoGP bikes are built from the ground up with custom frames, cutting-edge electronics, active aero systems, ride height devices, and Michelin tyres. It's a steep learning curve, and history hasn't always been kind to World Spox World champions who've tried to cross over. But for Toprak, the timing couldn't be better. The 2026 season will be the last under the current MotoGP rules, before major changes hit in 2027. That year will bring 850cc engines, scaled-back aerodynamics, a ban on lower wings, and, perhaps most significantly, Pirelli stepping in as the official tyre supplier. That's a type of rubber Toprak already knows like the back of his hand. All of these changes could level the playing field, just enough for Toprak's transition to click and for him to make a serious mark. Davide Brivio, the team principal of Aprilia's Trackhouse outfit, summed it up well. It'll be interesting to see how he stacks up against the current field. Sure, MotoGP is more complex, but a rider with that much talent shouldn't struggle too much to adapt. Plus, he's got a great personality, and from a sporting angle, this is definitely a positive move. Pramac Yamaha's choice to bring in Toprak isn't just about generating buzz. It's a bold move packed with risk and potential reward. The team, now in a full-on rebuild after switching from Ducati to Yamaha, is aiming for a fresh start. Their current lineup, Jack Miller and Miguel Oliveira, is in a bit of flux. Miller's nearing the end of his deal and is still trailing behind Fabio Quartararo in Yamaha's pecking order. Oliveira, still working his way back from earlier injuries, has a contract in place but hasn't shown consistent results. Gino Borsoi, Pramac's team manager, has been cautious but straightforward.
We have different agreements with both riders,
he said.
I won't go into details, but we are open to talking. If Jack and Miguel can show speed, we'd be happy to keep working together.
Still, reading between the lines, it's clear Pramac is looking ahead. They're banking on star quality and long-term potential, and Toprak brings both. On top of that, he introduces a fresh wave of fans from his home country, adding another layer to this high-stakes bet. When the news broke at Aragon, the MotoGP paddock was instantly buzzing. Team bosses and long-time insiders were quick to weigh in on what Toprak's move could mean. Hervé Poncharal, Tech3 KTM's team principal and president of ARTA, pointed to the timing and the stakes involved. Toprak is coming in at the right moment. He'll have the whole 2026 season to get used to MotoGP, and then the switch to 850cc engines comes. With Pirelli tyres he's already familiar with. I know him and his manager well, and I can tell you they're 200% locked in. This is his last big challenge, and he knows he has to get it right. Poncheral's comments reflect the pressure Toprak faces. At 28, he's not seen as a work in progress, he's expected to deliver. But Poncheral also reminded everyone that others have made the leap successfully, like Colin Edwards, Ben Spies and Cal Crutchlow, former World SBK stars who managed to carve out solid MotoGP careers. Ducati's team manager Davide Tardozzi added his voice as well. Toprak's a special rider, exciting to watch, and I think he'll do well. He and Bulega are the top guys in World SBK. That kind of praise, especially from a powerhouse like Ducati, says a lot. It shows that Toprak's reputation is built on more than just flash, and with Nicolo Bulega being touted as the next rider to make the jump, we might be seeing a broader path open for talent outside the traditional Moto2 route. Before he fully steps into the MotoGP spotlight though, Toprak has unfinished business in World SBK. He's locked in a tight title battle with current points leader Nicolo Bulega, trailing by just 31 points as they head into Misano. It's a track where Toprak absolutely dominated in 2024, pulling off a hat-trick of wins, and he's gunning to do it again, even on Ducati's home turf. My goal's simple. Win all 3 races like last year, but this time it's tougher. Ducati's really strong here, especially Bulega. I'm ready to go all in. Even with one eye on what's next, Toprak's laser focused on finishing strong with BMW. He's chasing a 3rd world title and wants to leave a team on the highest note possible. This is my dream. I'm going to fight till the end. I want to give this title to BMW in my final season with them. It's not just about trophies, it's personal. Toprak recently shared some personal thoughts, saying he's thrilled to finally achieve his dream, but also feeling a bit emotional about leaving behind the World SBK paddock, which he described as feeling like a family. I'm happy to make my dream come true, but at the same time, I'm a little sad. I'm going to miss World SBK, he said. Then came the headline-making reaction from none other than Jorge Lorenzo, the 3-time MotoGP world champ. Someone who knows Yamaha inside and out, responded with excitement, but also a bit of a curveball. Wow, amazing news for MotoGP fans. We all enjoy hearing things like this, he said, even though I feel like his style might actually suit Ducati or even Honda better. I'm confident that with time and patience, Toprak will succeed in MotoGP. His talent and braking ability are next level. Congrats to Toprak, Pramac and Yamaha for sealing the deal. Lorenzo's comments sparked a bigger question. Did Yamaha sign their ideal rider, or did they bring the right guy into the wrong setup? Toprak's aggressive riding, shaped on the BMW M10000RR with heavy braking and wild corner entries, seems like a more natural fit for Ducati's V4 engine or Honda's front-loaded bikes. And he's not the only one who sees it that way. Analysts and insiders have often wondered whether Yamaha's smoother, more flowing M1 suits Toprak's raw instincts. But maybe that's the challenge that separates great riders from the rest: learning, adapting, and evolving. Toprak's move is also part of a bigger trend in MotoGP. For years, the grid's been filled with riders coming up through Moto2 and Moto3. Now, with talents like Toprak and possibly Bulega breaking through, we're seeing a shift in how new riders are being scouted. Dorna's efforts to build stronger ties between World SBK and MotoGP are finally starting to bear fruit, creating more consistent storylines across both series. At the same time, Yamaha is in the middle of a full-on rebuild. With Fabio Quartararo staying long-term and Toprak joining the team, they'll have 2 of the most talked-about names in the sport. And looking ahead to 2027, the upcoming rule changes could be just what Yamaha needs. With a reset on engine capacity and aerodynamics, it might level the playing field, especially for a team that's been working hard to close the gap on Ducati's aero dominance and KTM's creative edge.
Toprak's experience with Pirelli tyres could turn into a serious advantage once Michelin steps aside. For a newcomer, already having that kind of tyre knowledge is rare, and it could save him months of getting up to speed. Everything's lined up for 2026 when Toprak Razgatlioglu takes the biggest gamble of his racing career. The pressure will be sky high and every move will be under intense scrutiny, but the reward could be massive. As Hervé Poncharal put it, this is the final step in his career and he can't afford to get it wrong. MotoGP isn't just about being fast, it's about thinking smart, adjusting quickly and staying strong through challenges. Toprak's already proven he's got that in World SBK. Now, the question is whether he can bring that same fire to the toughest motorcycle championship in the world. No one can say for sure how this will play out, but one thing's for certain, MotoGP just got a lot more exciting.